Okay, today we are going to discuss a topic, motion of a charge in a uniform magnetic field. Okay, right. So before we are entering into the topic, let me represent a magnetic field here. The magnetic field which I am representing here is pointing into the plane. Okay, pointing into the plane means it is pointing perpendicular to the plane, and also it is pointing into the surface. Okay, how can I represent it? We have already explained it in the last session that a magnetic field which is pointing inside can be represented by using cross marks. The magnetic field which is coming out of a plane can be represented as dot marks. Okay, if the magnetic field is towards right side, I can draw it with some lines, straight lines with an arrow mark pointing towards right. If it is left side, also I can draw it with parallel lines. But if the magnetic field is pointing into the plane like this, inward, how can I represent it? I can represent it by using cross marks. So each cross marks are each magnetic field lines. Okay, so this is the way in which we are representing magnetic field lines, which is perpendicular to this plane and also pointing inward to the plane. Okay, now what I am doing is I am keeping a positive charge in this magnetic field. See, a positive charge is considered in this magnetic field, which is moving with a velocity in this direction. Okay, suppose it is moving with a velocity in the leftward direction in the magnetic field, right? So in this case, what is the angle between velocity vector and the direction of magnetic field? Direction of velocity is towards left, right? What is the direction of magnetic field? Direction of magnetic field is towards the uh, uh, into the plane, right? See, I have pointed this pen on the surface of this, and in which direction this pen is pointing, that is the direction of the magnetic field. What is the direction of the velocity of the charged particle? Velocity of the charged particle is in the direction of this black pen. See, in this direction. What is the angle between them? The angle between them is 90 degree, right? Okay, so and also we have studied that if a charged particle is moving in a magnetic field, it will experience a force, right? How much force it will experience? We have already studied that F is equal to QVB sine theta, right? Okay, now if this charged particle is moving towards left uh, in this magnetic field, surely it will experience a force, right, which is equal to QVB sine theta. Okay, now this is the magnitude of the force, and what is the direction of the force? What is the direction of the force? Direction of the force will be getting by using Fleming's left hand rule. Okay, what is Fleming's left hand rule? If you are stretching your forefinger, middle finger and thumb in such a way that these three are mutually perpendicular to each other. Okay, and this forefinger is representing the direction of the magnetic field, middle finger is representing the direction of the velocity of the charged particle, velocity of the positive charge, and the thumb will be giving me the direction of the force. Now I am pointing my forefinger in the direction of the magnetic field, and I am pointing my middle finger in the direction of the velocity of the positive charge. Then in which direction my thumb is pointing have to be found. Okay, so we have to point this forefinger and middle finger, then automatically this thumb will be pointing in a particular direction, right? That will be the direction of the force. How can I orient my middle finger and forefinger in this case? Because the magnetic field is pointing inward into the plane, so I am placing the tip of my forefinger on the surface pointing inward, right? Then the charged particle is moving towards left. See, velocity vector is towards left, so I place my middle finger towards left, and see what is the direction of the thumb pointing. Thumb is pointing downward, right? Downward. Okay, thumb is pointing downward. Downward means in this direction, right? In this direction, so there will be a force in the downward direction. So whenever a force is acting on a particle or an object or in an object, what will happen for that object? That object will deviate or deflect in the direction of that force, right? Okay, so what will happen for this charged particle? This charged particle, instead of moving it straight with this velocity, it will be undergoing for a bending like this. It will be deflecting from its straight path and it will be reaching here. Okay, this positive charge is reaching here now. Okay, now this positive charge is reached here, suppose. And now at this position, what is the direction of the velocity? Direction of the velocity is downward, right? Direction of the velocity is downward, and still the direction of the magnetic field is into the plane. Okay, now again I am finding out the direction of the force experiencing by this charged particle at this place. How can I find it? Again by using the Fleming's left hand rule. I will be pointing my forefinger inside the plane or into the plane, and I will be pointing my middle finger towards down. What is the direction of the force? Direction of the force is towards right, towards right. Okay, so what is the direction of the force? This is the direction of the force. Okay, so as this is the direction of the force, what will be the direction in which the charged particle is deflecting? Charged particle will be deflecting in this way, it will be deflecting in this way. Okay, so it will be reaching here, suppose positive charge is reaching here. Now again it will be experiencing a velocity in this direction, and because of that velocity it will be experiencing a force in the upward direction. Again by using Fleming's left hand rule, I am not showing it for all the position, you can check it. Because of this force, what will happen? This charged particle will move here, this charged particle will move here. Yeah, now this charged particle is reaching here, positive. Again at this point, this will be the direction of the velocity. Again if I am applying Fleming's left hand rule here, this charged particle will move, because this charged particle will move in this direction because of the force will be in this direction, because the force will be in this direction. Okay, so what I am telling you is, this is velocity vector, this is velocity, this is velocity, this is force. Okay, force will be always acting towards the center of the circular motion, right? So what you can see here, the charged particle is moving in a circular path. Okay, so you can see here we are placed the charged particle perpendicular to the magnetic field, right? Perpendicular to the magnetic field, so it has moved in a circular path. So we can write that in a statement here: if a charge is moving perpendicular to the magnetic field, then it will follow a circular path. Okay, it will follow a circular path. That is, in all the cases, whenever a charged particle is moving perpendicular to the magnetic field, then it will undergo for a circular motion, or this will undergo for a circular path. Okay, now how much direction we have seen? That direction always it is pointing towards the center of the circular path. And how much will be the magnitude? How much will be the magnitude of the force? F magnetic, we have written it here, that is QVB sine theta. What is Q? Q is this charge. Okay, what is V? V is the velocity, linear velocity with which the charged particle is moving. What is B? B is the intensity of the magnetic field in which the charged particle is moving. What is theta? Theta is the angle between direction of velocity and direction of the magnetic field. Direction of velocity and direction of magnetic field is always right angle to each other, right? So always theta degree, always theta is equal to 90 degree. Okay, theta is equal to 90 degree. So magnetic force will be equal to QVB, only QVB, sine 90 is equal to 1, right? Okay, so this will be the magnitude of that force. Okay, now you see, as the particle is moving in a circular path, there will be a centripetal force towards the center, right? Centripetal force is the force which is experiencing towards the center of any circular motion. Okay, so that centripetal force is providing by whom? Here the centripetal force is providing by the magnetic force, right? Because the magnetic force is always and always pointing towards the center. Okay, so the centripetal force is providing by the magnetic force here, right? So what is centripetal force expression? Centripetal force is equal to, or Fc is equal to mv square by r. Okay, So we can equate this centripetal force expression with magnetic force, because centripetal force is providing for this motion by the magnetic force, because it is acting towards the center. So I can equate the centripetal force with the magnetic force. So I can write it like this: mv square divided by r is equal to qvb. And from this I can write an expression for velocity. If you are cutting one v from both the sides, then what the expression for v will be? V will be q b r by m, right? So this is what is the expression for velocity with which the charged particle is moving. Now from this we can write the expression for a radius. Radius is equal to mv by qb, right? Mv by qb. This is another very important expression. This is the relation between radius and velocity, or radius and magnetic field, right? So this is the expression for velocity with which the charged particle is moving in the circular path, and this is the expression for radius of the circular path. Okay, now we can derive the we have to derive many relations here. In this case, these are the two relations. First relation, this is the second relation, and next relation have to be derived, that is uh, for time period. Okay, for time period have to be, expression have to be derived. Okay, so for time period, what is time period meaning? Time period is the time taken for one complete oscillation, one complete revolution, right? Okay, so what is the expression for velocity? Velocity is equal to distance by time, or speed is equal to distance by time. Okay, if you are considering one revolution, then how much is the distance covered? The distance covered in one revolution will be the circumference of the circular path, right? So that will be equal to 2 pi r. If the radius is r, if the radius of the circular path is r, then 2 pi r will be the total distance covered, and divided by t. This t is what? T is the time taken to complete one cycle. One cycle means 2 pi r distance. So I can write this as v is equal to 2 pi r divided by time period. Okay, and from this I can write t is equal to 2 pi r divided by v. 2 pi r divided by v, and in this expression I am going to substitute this value of r instead of this r. So this expression will become 2 pi by v into this mv by qb is substituted instead of this r. So mv by qb. Okay, this v and this v cut. So time period expression comes to be 2 pi m by qb. Okay, so this is the expression for a time period. This is the expression for a time period, right? And now, as this is the expression for time period, we can derive the expression for frequency also, right? Frequency is what? Frequency is I'll tell you, can write it here. Yeah, frequency is 1 by time period, right? Frequency is 1 by time period. So I can write it like f is equal to reciprocal of time period. Reciprocal of time period is qb by 2 pi m. qb by 2 pi m. This is what is frequency of a revolution. Okay, now we have to derive one more expression, that is the expression for a kinetic energy. Okay, kinetic energy is equal to half mv square, right? Kinetic energy is equal to half mv square. So this is equal to half m. V is what? V is qbr divided by m. So if v square we are taking, then q square, b square, r square divided by m square. We'll be squaring all the terms. So I can write it as q square, b square, r square divided by m square. Okay, now one m from the numerator and one m from the denominator we are cutting. So this will become q square, b square, r square divided by 2m. Okay, this is what is kinetic energy, right? So we have derived the expression for a kinetic energy also. That is another very important expression in this regard. Okay, so what I am telling you is, we have derived how many expressions? 1, 2, 3. This is fourth one, and this is fifth one. These 5 expressions are very important in this. And one more thing I have to explain. One thing which is very important that I have to explain to you. See, time period expression is what? T is equal to 2 pi m by qb. Can you see a term r here, or can you see a letter r here, radius? No, You cannot see a radius here, right? Which means that suppose this charged particle is moving in a larger circle. Larger circle means more is the radius, right? More is the radius. Then you may be thinking that if more is the radius, it may be taking more time to revolve, right? Because it is moving in a larger circle. Larger circle means normally it will have to travel more distance, means it will have to travel more distance, means it will have to take more time, right? Okay, but it is not taking more time. It is not taking more time. How can I say that? Because T is equal to 2 pi m by qb. In this case, m is the mass of the particle, q is the charge of the particle, and b is the magnetic field in which the charged particle is moving. So if you are making this mass of the particle is constant, charge of the particle is constant, strength of the magnetic field is also constant, then I am changing the radius. If increasing the radius, then it is independent of the time period. Radius is independent of the time period. Okay, that means if suppose the time period is 1 second, suppose the time period is 1 second, then it has to follow always time period 1 second. Even though it is moving in a larger circle, it has to maintain same time period, because radius of the circle is not depending the time period. Even though it is moving in a larger circle, it has to complete one revolution within 1 second. So what this charge should do to maintain the same time period? It has to increase its velocity, right? So if it is moving in a larger circle, it will be moving faster, its velocity will be increasing. Okay, we can explain it on the basis of frequency also. Frequency is what? Number of revolutions in 1 second. Suppose it is revolving 10 times in 1 second, 10 times in 1 second, then see, 10 times in 1 second. If it is moving in a larger circle, if it is moving in a larger circle, then again it has to complete 10 revolutions in 1 second. Even though it is moving in a larger circle, it has to complete 10 revolutions in 1 second, because radius is not depending the frequency. Even though it is moving in a larger circle, it is moving in a larger circle means radius will change, right? Radius will change. So even though radius changes, frequency have to remain same. Okay, so if it is moving in a larger circle, to maintain the same frequency, it has to move very faster. Okay, if it is moving in a smaller circle, to maintain the same frequency, it has to move, or it has to revolve slowly. Okay, so as frequency is not depending or independent on radius of the circle, we can say that if the charged particle is moving in the larger circle, it has to increase its velocity. If the smaller circle, it has to decrease its velocity. Okay, so this you have to keep it in your mind. And this property of frequency and time period is independent of r, is used in a device named cyclotron, which is used to accelerate the charged particle. Okay, frequency or time period is independent of the radius of the circle, right? So in cyclotron we are using that principle. Okay, so that is the reason why we are calling this frequency as cyclotron frequency also. What is cyclotron frequency? Cyclotron frequency, because this is the principle we are using in a device cyclotron. Okay, thank you.